I mean, is Cooper Rush worth 2.5 points? I would hope Quinn Ewers put up a decent stat line against Arizona State. If he didn't, we have a real problem.
You can say the same thing about Creighton. Okay, they had the one good game against Kansas at home.
When Toast talks about the kicking market, it's like some earth is flat shit. Andy, true or false, this is going to be a dog walking.
Dog walking. This is my dog walking of the day. I think it's going to be very ugly. Dog walking. I think this is going to be ugly.
Hey, get the sauce. Hey. What's up? Happy Tuesday to you all. My guests are late. I don't tolerate tardiness. No, it's Chris and Modi. Hope you all had a nice Monday night. Rams and under. You love to see it. Definitely needed it after the weekend I freaking had. Matthew's here. Yo, did you see? Hold on, let me get you on the screen. I'm sure you saw it. I almost felt bad sending it. Did you see the statement Lindy made on the show yesterday?
I couldn't tell if that was a real statement or
so he usually comes on. Well, I tweeted it to him trolling him, but that is a real statement he made. He usually comes on the show Monday, but he couldn't yesterday because he went to the Vikings game with his parents, who I believe are all Vikings fans. And so that was his actual statement. And I sat there staring at the tweet for about 8 seconds. Should I not send this? And I legitimately couldn't help myself. I had to do it.
It was just too easy.
Yeah. Yes, it was too easy. I don't know where Chris is. Don't know.
He forgot about you.
No, Chris is. Let me see if he texted me. No, he hasn't texted me either.
Me.
No, Chris is usually pretty on it. All right, whatever. We'll get started.
It's a great game he's going to miss if he misses his first one.
Yeah, Oklahoma City, Philly. The Sixers. Yeah. Oh, here he is. I see someone just joined. There he is. Chris, what are you wearing, bro? What are you wearing? Oh. We're getting you on the screen now. Okay. Chris is dressed to kill.
A little bit. Yeah.
Chris, where do you live?
In Virginia, where it's like 5 degrees.
Where in Virginia?
Central Virginia.
Okay,
right outside Charlottesville.
I'm in Charlottesville.
Get the fuck out of here.
Are you guys neighbors?
No, you're not, Modi. Get out of here, bro.
Yeah, I'm in Charlottesville. I moved here over the summer.
What is Charlottesville border? I don't believe you.
So technically Crozet, to be fair. I'm in Crozet.
Word.
Wait, hold on. How close are you guys?
Like 20 minutes.
Wow, that is crazy.
We'll have to do a live show.
The bougie part, yeah, of course. Crozet, the bougie part of the city, but yeah, it's right up the street.
Oh, really. Modi's in the bougie part?
Not really. Have you seen Crozet? It's not bougie.
Yeah, it's super bougie. Yeah, all the $1 million, the $2 million, $3 million homes out there. Yeah.
Yeah, I want a little bit more than that, but on my freelance salary, I'm able to afford more than that.
Yeah, I mean, you create a concoction such as the Dong Report, and you're going to be swimming in cash. That's true.
I'm waiting for that, but that's true.
I had no idea, Mo, that was.
No, I knew he moved to Virginia. I mean, I had no idea that you guys were like that close, but.
Damn, that's crazy. Mo.
That is wild.
Hey, text me after the show, bro. We got to catch up.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. But anyway, let's talk some NBA. I do have a couple bets down. I wouldn't even say either of them I particularly like. There's a couple I'm considering, though. I'm going to listen to what these guys think. None of them are in this game, though. Oklahoma City, Philly. I mean, it's up to – when we were talking about this last night on the Midnight Show, it was 11. I think 11.5. Now it's 13. I don't know. I mean, I kind of would want to take the points with Philly, but I'm not doing it. So it's at 217.5. What kind of pace? Philly's been running a slow pace, right?
Well, I think if I remember correctly, they're slow with Embiid, but they speed it up when he's out, especially without Drummond. That's
how it used to be. Yeah.
I don't know that cap them like 10 different ways. I'm sorry, man. I got to finish.
No, go. Yeah, you're right. I mean, you're right. You do have to.
Have 10 different ways. Like on the season, because I just looked at it this morning. On the season, they're 29th in pace, so second slowest team. Last 5 games, they're 17th in pace, but then you got to look at it without Embiid, and I don't know how to quantify that.
Yeah, that's a problem I've been having with NBA is not only if you just look at the game logs, has it been very inconsistent. I mean, this team's run 2 really fast-paced games, 2 really slow-paced games, and then also trying to mix and match who was on the court for each game is also a challenge, and I'm having trouble finding patterns with that. Like, okay, when Embiid doesn't play, they run a faster pace, but then this game they ran a really slow pace. I'm having some trouble with the data for NBA so far. But yeah, I just pulled it up. In the last 10 games, Sixers are 24th in pace. I mean, I guess a little bit faster, but still. In the last 5 games, the Sixers do have some better looking numbers, but they're also 29th in strength of schedule. Meanwhile, Oklahoma City's played one of the strongest schedules in the NBA recently. In my opinion, I think Oklahoma City can beat Philly and cover this number if they really want to. I guess the question would be do they really want to? So I got nothing.
Did you see the updated injury report here, Kyle?
Maxey questionable.
No, I didn't. That wasn't on there.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that big of a deal. It's just Tyrese Maxey, with Embiid already out.
And Martin was on there last night, though. Caleb Martin's questionable, but he was questionable last night. That's not new. Maxey's new, though. I'm good on just passing. You guys want to pass?
Yeah, let's pass.
Yeah, screw this.
Well, I actually have a plan this one.
Oh, were you going to speak up or what, dude?
Well, I was waiting for someone to pass me the rock.
Grab the mic.
Excuse me. Yeah, sure, right here.
He just knocked his mic out.
We can't hear you, Modat.
I think you knocked your mic out.
Yeah, I think he really did.
I heard something like hit the ground.
I think I actually unplugged my mic. Can you hear me now? I switched the mic.
Yeah, I can hear you. It's a different mic though, but I can hear you.
Yeah, I switched my mic. I'm pretty sure I unplugged it when I went to go grab it. So that's my bad. I won't do that again. Anyways, I have Paul George over 7.5 rebounds. It was plus 125. It's now plus 120. I'll still take it there. That's at Bet365. I mean, it's a tiny sample size because he's barely played. The whole team has barely played, but 4 games without Drummond and without Embiid, he's had 8 or more rebounds in 3 of 4 games. All 3 games he went over, he had actually 9 or more, 9, 11, and 10. The one game he went under, he only had 2 rebounds, but he had 12 rebound chances. So it was like a crazy outlier conversion rate from his rebound chances to his actual rebounds. Matchup against the Thunder, I mean, the Thunder do basically 99 things well with defensively, but you can rebound against them. Like, they allow the 3rd most rebounds per game, and like every position you go through, guards, forwards, centers, they're a good matchup for rebound props. So George, I'm just taking. I mean, it's pretty simple taking him to rebound more with the 2 big guys out. They don't have like a traditional high value, high leverage rebounder on their team. It's Yabusele, but even he isn't that great. So it's kind of going to be a team effort. And like I said, he's done this in 3 or 4 games without both those guys. If Maxey doesn't play, then you just get worried about is this game going to be 50 points at halftime? Like, how many minutes is he going to play? Obviously, you can't really cap that. So yeah, Paul George over 7.5 rebounds.
And you said plus 120. Just making sure I typed that correctly.
That's correct.
So Paul George over 7.5 rebounds plus 120. I've actually rebound props. Did you see, Chris? Did you see my shit hit last night? Zubats?
Check you out, dog.
Yeah, I'm on it. I have, to quote Toast, I have my thumb on the pulse of the rebound market.
My best market by far is rebounds.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like that is. I like the matchup. I like is take the guy. I isolate specifically defensive rebounding. Like a team that doesn't gather offensive rebounds, like give me the Bulls or the Heat, and so I take whoever gets the most defensive rebounds on the other team against the team that doesn't get offensive rebounds, especially when I expect the defense to be decent, and we should see a lot of missed field goals. So I've had some there's very few patterns I've had success on with the NBA thus far. Not that I haven't won some bets. I'm just saying there hasn't really been anything I can hang my hat on. I feel like those have been pretty nice. I feel like the people that have
Cal.
got to rebrand. I feel like
turn into a real thing, Moda.
I feel like the people that have had success this NBA season are really hammering. This is something that Modai does, really hammering the on-off splits, assist percentage, assist opportunities, rebound opportunities, based on which rotation is going to be on the court. I feel like those are the type of bettors that I've seen have some NBA success. Modai does a lot of that. Lindy does a lot of that. I feel like that's been hitting pretty consistently. Anyway, let's talk Cavs Pacers in Indianapolis. And this is one I want to bet. So I bet the under last night on the midnight stream that I shouldn't have bet.
Me too.
I
did.
You bet it too?
I bet it before we even did. Right after we did your show yesterday, I bet it. It was 237. I bet took under.
Oh my God, I got the worst of the number, but I don't like it. I have the bet open. I'm gonna put a Pacers graphic up because that's what I want to take. I'm putting it up. I know no Halliburton sounds crazy, and the reason I can't take it is because I'm not trying to get accused of being a Cavs hater. I'm starting to get branded as Cavs hater. I'm not trying to wear that hat.
Definitely wear that hat, Kyle.
The Pacers have been playing good basketball, though, and this is not last year's Pacers that's super reliant on Tyrese Halliburton. I mean, you can make the argument, and I'm not saying this is true. I'm not making that argument, this argument. I'm just saying you can make the argument that this team, if you throw Nembhard in there at point guard, can still compete and still be a playoff team. Again, I'm not making that argument. I'm just saying with Nembhard out there, I wouldn't say the Pacers are completely decimated without Halliburton. They've on an efficiency standpoint, they've been one of the stronger basketball teams in the NBA recently. Gets an 8.5 at home. Again, I'm repeating this. I don't want to do it. I'm probably not going to do it, but that's the side I want to be on. I mean, in the last 10 games, the Pacers are 5th in offensive rating, 15th in defensive rating against the strongest schedule in the NBA. So they're playing some ball right now. Chris, do you co-sign that?
Yep, I do. I didn't bet it because I just thought the total was way too high. Like, I think it was Fanatics that had it hanging at like 237. I was like, the game just went under 240 by 39 points. Like, we just gonna open it up 3 points lower. So I bet the under yesterday for a lot of what you said, Kyle. With Nembhard on the floor, their defensive numbers are just so good. We talked about this when he was first coming back, and then he was hurt, and then he would like miss a game and then come back and play the next one. But with him on the floor, they're giving up I think it was Pacers defense giving up 13 fewer points per 100 possessions with Nembhard on the floor. Like their defense is really, really good with Nembhard on the floor, and they've been doing the things. I bet Pacers on Sunday when the two teams played. I got 9.5. I was like, man, the Pacers are not that bad right now. They've only won and covered like 7 games in a row. And Cleveland, I feel like I'm not going to be branded as a Cavs hater either, but I feel like they were so hot that it's about time for them to not start, to stop covering some of these bigger numbers. I know this is not a super big number. Seems super easy to take them in a bounce back spot here, but we got to remember the last time the Cavs lost and then they played the same opponent the next game, it was Atlanta. Atlanta came into Cleveland, beat them on a Friday. I think the next game was on a Sunday or something like that. Beat them on Sunday too. So I know it looks super easy, especially without, Holly being there, but I'll be with you, Kyle. I haven't played it because I'm just going to ride with the under, but yeah, I don't think it's an automatic Cavs bounce back spot here. I think the Pacers do a lot of great things that slow down this Cleveland's offense. Yeah. And don't look now, the Cavs defense has fallen off a little bit. I mean, in the last 5 games, the Cavs are 24th in defensive rating in the last 5 games. I said that on Sunday, Cal. They gave up 130 points to Toronto. And then remember the shootout that they were in with OKC. They won the game, but I mean, they couldn't stop OKC from scoring. It was like 250 points scored in that game. Yeah, I think I might bet the Pacers here. What about Matthew?
Well, I don't know if you consider this, but Larry says that he's had success betting the NBA. It's called watching the games. So I recommend you guys.
Wait, hold on. Let me write that down.
I've never heard of that betting
Watch
strategy before.
The games. Got it.
I'm just
okay.
Larry's letting us know. I appreciate that look. I'll have to try that.
Cal really wrote it down too, just for people that can't see.
They can see. I really did write it down.
I didn't bet this one. The lean that I would give out is Donovan Mitchell. If you play it, I would play 25 plus points. That's at plus 125 at bet 365. I didn't bet it because he's just so inconsistent. Like there's some games where he just decides that he's not going to score, and the volume's not there. And you would think, like Chris said, they had a game where they lost to the Hawks, played them the next game. He scored like 14 points in that game. Like he didn't do anything, and they lost that game again. But last game against the Pacers, he took 17 shots. He only made 7 of them. If you just look at games this year in which he's taken at least 17 shots, he's done that 20 games. He scored 25 or more points in 13 of those.
Real quick, what's the number at? I'm sorry.
Plus 125.
What is his actual point total?
Oh, sorry, 25 plus. Sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
But yeah, that's a lean. He's too inconsistent with his scoring, so that's why I didn't bet it. But if you think he's going to take as many shots as he took last game, like I said, he's hit that number in 65% of games.
All right, Donovan Mitchell, 25 plus points, plus 125. Me and Chris lean towards the Pacers. I think I'm going to bet the Pacers, guys, by the way.
I did bet the under, too.
Me too. I got 229.5, Chris. You know what happened? I was doing a midnight stream, and it was our first time doing the midnight stream with the new format, so I have an open browser so everyone could see on the show what I'm looking at. It was pretty cool. It went pretty well. I think people liked it. But I was like going through the games, and I have the odds comparison open, and I saw Circa dropped it from 229 to 228, and the other books was following. So I just went and grabbed the 229.5 on FanDuel, like without even really thinking. I was like, oh, let's just go grab it. And then after, I was like, I didn't even really like that. Whatever. It was like I was impulsive because I was on the stream. I don't know how to explain it. Hey, thanks for the $20, Lapra. That guy, Lapralax.
Lapralax.
Yeah, kind. Suns, Hawks. This one's back down to 3. Should be a good matchup for the Suns. I did bet the Suns at -2.5 last night. It went up to 4.5. Now it's back down to 3, and I think you could still get 2.5 now. Let me get the poll up. All right, Suns -3. Let me get my graphic up underneath me here. Yeah, I have no prop beaver today, guys. He is his sister is graduating college. That's where prop beaver is.
Congrats. Yeah, shout out.
Suns, Hawks. All right. So I laid the 2.5 here. The matchup I particularly like. So the Hawks defense has been really great at forcing turnovers. They're actually 3rd in forced turnover rate in the last 10 games. But one thing the Suns do well, Suns don't do many things well, so you really got to pick your spots on what the Suns do well. But one thing Phoenix does do a great job of is protecting the basketball. They don't turn the ball over much. On the last 5 games, they're just 5th in turnover rate. So, again, the Suns don't do a lot of things well, but they protect the ball. So that might take away one of the strengths of this Hawks defense, forcing steals. I like that. Also, you don't see many opportunities for the Suns to win the rebound battle. Usually, this is a team that's normally getting beat on the glass on both sides of the ball. In the last 10 games, they're 22nd and 27th in offensive and defensive rebounding rate. But the Hawks are 21st and 27th. So I'm not saying the Suns are going to win the rebounding battle. It's just we don't get to see the Suns play many basketball games where they're not getting dominated on the glass. And this might be one where they're actually able to.
AKA Cal, no Jalen Johnson. But continue.
Yes, no Jalen Johnson on the floor. Also, I don't think Okongwu is 100% either. He's been bouncing on and off the injury report. Remember, he was out and then he came back and then they threw him back on the report. I don't think he's 100% either, who's another piece that's important in that respect. Also, what does Phoenix love to do? Kick it out to spot-up shooters, 2nd in frequency in the NBA. Atlanta 25th in defensive efficiency against spot-up shooters. I think the Suns should be fine here. How many games have the Hawks lost against the number in the row, Chris? Is it 5 or 6?
I think it was. I know they're coming off their 6-game road trip. They only went. I put it in my notes. They went 2-4 straight up, 1-5 against the number.
I think. I don't want to say it. They're starting to look like the Hawks, the auto fade Hawks of old.
If they're not gonna have Jalen Johnson, they automatically become that. So
I did bet this one. I have the Suns at -2.5. I think I got it at -115. So you could probably still get that exact number if you look. Chris?
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I didn't bet it, but because I thought Trae Young would. So this was at 1 in favor of Phoenix, and then I was like, Trae Young probably gonna play. You'll get a better line, and I was right because it went up to 4, and now it's come back down, like you said, with Trae Young playing. The spot here sets up for Atlanta, Cal, with them having all the extra rest. It's a 5th game in 8 nights for the Phoenix Suns, 7th game in 11 nights as well. But on the other side, I really like what they've been doing. Like when Budenholzer put Bradley Beal on the bench, they're also playing Oso a lot more. I don't know if people have been watching him, but he's like a +4 net rating when they're a +4 net rating when he's on the floor. So he's been defending well, playing a lot better than Nurkic ever played, and backing up Plumlee really, really well. I think he started the second half in that game against Charlotte the other day when they were getting dominated on the board. So only way I could look in this game, especially with Atlanta being on the first leg of a back-to-back with Chicago coming to town tomorrow as well. No Jalen Johnson, no Atlanta Hawks for me. I'm probably going to end up betting it, especially with the number coming back down, Cal. Don't have it in my pocket yet, though.
What about Matthew?
Yeah, I went with Bradley Beal, 18+ points. This is +125 at ESPN Bet. Tiny sample size, but since moving to the bench role, he's hit this number in only 2 of 5 games, but I like the fact that his volume has been a little bit up. Only in one of these games has he had fewer than 12 shot attempts. It's like 12 shot attempts to get 18 points isn't terrible. He's probably going to shoot more in this matchup. He just played the Hawks. scored 25 points against them. We just need 18 in this one. So the Hawks give up the 10th, they're like bottom 10 guarding spot-up shooters, and they give up the second most points per game to pick and roll ball handlers. And that last number is important because while he's on the floor without Booker and without Durant, he's running a lot more pick and roll. So that's why he was able to have more success last game against the Hawks. And these type of like combo guards have had a ton of success against the Hawks. I mean, according to Props Madness, 8 players with a similar scoring profile to Bradley Beal have played the Hawks. 7 of those 8 have gone over by an average of 3 points above what their over-under is priced at. So like I said, these guards just have a ton of success against the Hawks. The Hawks give up the 4th most points in the restricted area, the most points via the above the break 3-pointer. That's like number 1 and number 2 in terms of the shot zone of Bradley Beal, like where he takes the most and the second most of his shots from. So I'm not surprised that he hit this number last time. Hopefully he'll do it again in this one.
A couple things in the comments. Number 1, J-Man said the Hawks have beaten the Suns at home in Atlanta 10 straight years.
I said that. I said that this morning. I don't know if he said that, took that from my show, but it was 2000 and it was March the 4th, 2013, the last time that the Suns actually won in Atlanta. It comes to an end tonight, I think.
Okay. Helms said something like, "You're taking Bradley Beal overs. Blink twice if you're being held a hostage."
I bet Bradley Beal last time he played the Hawks and he cashed. So I'm 1-1 in my last one Bradley Beal bets.
Yeah, that's another thing. These T2 teams did just play, and the Suns did beat them. I remember that. Like that total got steamed up. It was at 232 and got bought up to 238.5 or something.
And it pushed. Yep.
And it pushed. All right, next game: Sacramento, Milwaukee. Friend of mine really likes the Bucks here, -2. Let's get the poll up. Kings have been playing though, and you know what? Both these teams have been playing some defense as well. Let's take a look at the injury report for this one. See if there's any updates. Gary Trent Jr. listed as questionable. Malik Monk out for the Kings. Chris Middleton out for the Bucks. Giannis is probable, so he should be good to go. I'm all ears on this one. I'm down to bet it. Like I said, a friend of mine likes the Bucks. Do you guys have anything you like here?
Go ahead, Moda.
I just have a lean. I didn't bet it. The Fox over his points prop is decent. He's been playing better recently since they fired Mike Brown. He's been playing better. The matchup is good on paper. Like the Bucks give up the 6th most points per game to pick and roll ball handlers and the 9th most in transition. That's play type number 1 and 2, where Fox's points come from. Problem is, like, he hasn't been performing well in good matchups this year. Like he, on the year, he's averaging 26.5 points per game. If you only look at games against bottom 10 teams guarding the pick and roll ball handler, that number goes down to 25 points and he's only hit his number, which is 26.5 in 3 of 10 games. So it's like, you can't rely on him on the matchups that are good. He's been playing well recently and the matchup is good. It's like, that should be enough. I just don't necessarily trust him. So I didn't bet it. It should just be a lean.
And you said that number's 26.5 points?
Correct.
All right. All right, that's cool. Fox
it's -115 if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, I mean, if it's close to -110, whatever, just leave it. All right. I'm just going to put Bucks on the screen because I
think it's a Bucks spot too. I really, really do. I told Moda to go first because I had put some stuff in the Discord earlier that I didn't even write in my notes as I was looking through the game earlier. The first thing is the most important one is the Bucks just lost by 36 to the Knicks the other day in the Garden. You're not gonna find too many more bounce back spots. And to your point on the total, because I think you were mentioning something about the total, I went back and looked at it. Since the start of last season, they're 7-1 to the under if they're at home and they're coming off a loss of at least 20 points. So that says that they lock back in on the defensive end. We've seen their defense be really, really good. I think before giving up 140 to the Knicks the other day, they were a top 5 defensive rated team. Just held down San Antonio at home. There's also a lot of, I'm not going to get into the numbers of it all, but it's a lot of trends that I looked at earlier as far as teams that have won 7 straight games. And then all of a sudden they pop up as a road dog. So they typically don't fare well in that situation. I think the loss of Monk is going to be really, really big in this one as well. I know Chris Middleton is not playing on the other side, but I think just looking at the matchup, Sacramento in their new, realm of what they like to do under Coach Doug Christie, trying to get out and play in transition. They're playing a lot faster as far as their pace. Actually, number one in pace. I do think the Bucks they should be able to get back and limit some of those. I think without having Monk there is going to be paramount in this game as well. So didn't bet the Bucks, but I'm really, really close, Kyle. Talk me into it.
I kind of like it, and this also fits the rebounding spot I was referring to earlier. The Kings in the last 10 games, first in defensive rebounding rate. The Bucks in the last 10 games, 26th in offensive rebounding rate, meaning every single Bucks missed field goal should result in a Kings defensive rebound. So if you check out who's getting the defensive rebound on the Kings as of late.
Bonus.
It's Sabonis, but a big percentage of Sabonis rebounds also come on the offensive end. I like to isolate somebody who gets a large percentage of the rebounds on the defensive side. How many minutes is Trey Lyles projected to get tonight? Let me see.
That I can't tell
24 minutes according to the... What's Trey Lyles' rebound prop at? I'm going to the player props right now.
Let's look it up.
5.5.
He's hit that in 5 straight games. And I'm just looking up real quick. 5 of 5 players with his rebounding profile have cashed against the Bucks. So that you might have something there.
I'm telling you.
Check Cal out, man. Prop Cal.
I might honestly bet that, and if it hits, claim victory as my own play.
All right, you can. I'll give you permission to do so.
It's called a collab.
I see a minus 117 on Caesars for over 5.5.
I think it's minus 115 at 365.
Why isn't that showing up here?
That 365 is weird with their odds poll. Like I know a lot of places that don't for whatever reason have issue pulling their odds, but it's minus 115 there.
All right, I'm going to get a bit. What odds comparison tool do you use?
I use OddsJam mostly for alt lines because I always do the pumped up stuff, but Props Madness also had that.
Yeah, Modai loves the pumped up stuff.
Love it. Live and die by the pump. That's what I say.
What the heck? I don't see it here, Modai.
On 365?
Rebounds over under. There it is. All right, 5.5. Got it. All right, he was telling the truth, guys. He was telling the truth. Got it.
I actually lie when I give out my odds to make my numbers look better.
Trey Lyles over 5.5 rebounds, minus 115. Let me post it to the Discord, and then I'll type it on the screen so everyone can see. I'm in.
What was your thought process, Kyle, on the while you're typing it in? What was your thought process on the game? You think Milwaukee gets right without Monk?
Coming off the big loss, yeah. And I had the Knicks in that big loss too. So yeah, coming off the big loss and the Kings possibly without Monk out there.
Monk's already out.
I have it as oh my god, I clicked on the wrong window. Yeah, without Monk. But to be honest, the reason I was leaning towards the Bucks is because a friend of mine really likes the Bucks tonight. That's why I was leaning towards the Bucks, not because I looked at it and that was my contention. But let me put Trey Lyles on the screen. Minus 115. There you go. Just isolate. I'm just a value hunter. Is what it comes down to.
You watch the games though?
No, I wrote it down though. So starting now, I'm going to start watching the games.
Smart.
I got real good advice on that. There you go. Trey Lyles over 5.5 rebounds. All right. Next up. I might bet the Bucks too, though. I'm going to write the Bucks down. All right. Next up. Pellies. Last night it was 2.5, and I said I was considering the Pelicans, but the reason I couldn't end up pulling the trigger on it is the Pelicans have such terrible numbers again in transition defensively, and the Bulls love to push the tempo, so it couldn't 100% get there. If I did pull the trigger on it, I would be holding a point of closing line value because it was 2.5 on the midnight show when we were talking about it last night. It's 1.5 now. So, yeah, I mean, the Pelicans clearly playing better basketball now that they've gotten some pieces back. Let me make sure there's no changes to the injury report here. Pelicans. Nope, same as last night. No Brandon Ingram, no Herb Jones. Zion's going to play. You got DeJounte Murray out there, CJ McCollum, Trey Murphy. On the Bulls side, Dosunmu and Kobe White both listed as questionable. So a rare – we haven't seen many of them this year. We haven't seen many games where actually the Pelicans might be the healthier team. Haven't said that many times this year. But if you look at the last 5 games, the Pelicans are 16th in offensive rating, 17th in defensive rating. So don't look now, but the Pelicans look like an average basketball team. Meanwhile, the Bulls, I'm probably about an average to slightly below average basketball team. So catch at a point and a half. Pelicans playing slightly better ball as of late. I was leaning that way, but like I said, the reason I couldn't bet it on the season, the New Orleans Pelicans are dead last, as in 30th in defensive efficiency and transition. They really struggle against the fast break. Chicago Bulls offense second in transition frequency. So there's only one team that pushes the tempo more frequently than the Bulls, gets out in transition more frequently than the Bulls. So seems like a bad matchup for the Pelicans. That's the side I want to be on, though. And also people in the comments last night, Rod was in the comments saying he liked the Bulls. I think Wags liked the Bulls. So a lot of people in the comments were taking the Bulls too. So yeah, this is a straight pass for me. I'm all ears if you guys have anything you really like.
Just real quick, Al, you said that you talked about Chicago's pace. Last 5 games, they are playing a little bit slower as far as their transition frequency. I know you looked at those numbers as well. We talked about them being an under team. They were 8-2 to the under for like 5 straight games, and then I think they did go over against Sacramento the other day, but only by by a point or two. I kind of feel like with those guys being listed as questionable, that could slow down them being able to score as efficiently as they do in transition. And I feel like with the Pelicans, I kind of want to take the Pelicans today, but here's my problem. Like every time I bet anything in the Chicago game, it goes the opposite way because they are a 500 team. They do one thing right and then they do one thing wrong, or just do the opposite in the next game. But first leg of back-to-back for the Pelicans. They got a really tough spot tomorrow. It'll be, I think, 7 game in 11 nights against Dallas. So I kind of feel like the Pelicans get over the hump. I'm just, like you said, Kyle, I'm really impressed with what they've been doing recently. Last 5 games since they have gotten healthy, Zion's back out there. Trey Murphy has been looking really, really good. You got some big pieces off the bench with Jordan Hawkins, and Jose Alvarado is even back now. No Herb Jones. So I kind of like that. I hate betting Chicago games in general because I just never know what I'm going to get. But I do lean with you there. As far as the total in this one goes, I did jump in early last night as well. I got a 237.5. I'm not sure what the current number is. I think it's like last time I checked it was 240. You mentioned it, Cal. A lot of pace. The Bulls pace up everybody. They're the fourth in offensive efficiency last 5 games. Second in scoring, right under 125 points. I watched the Pelicans score 119 in Boston, and that was supposed to be a bounce back spot for Boston the other day. Boston was laying 14.5. The Pelicans were just scoring at will. A lot of Zion driving kick. I do think he should be able to get downhill today and score in the paint. I mean, who they got? Like Vucevic down there that's going to stop him? So it should be that should lead to a lot of wide open threes. I kind of see this like the Pelicans almost playing a little bit like DeJounte Murray and Zion remind me a little bit of Dame and Giannis, the way that they are, can kind of facilitate the offense and Zion getting downhill like a Giannis. So I think over is the best play on the board, but I do lean with you like you, Kyle, with the Pels as well. Think that they can actually win this one.
I'm going to put the Pelicans up, but let the record show I'm not betting this one. That's the side I want to get to. But and for those of you, because I think someone said in the comments, I mentioned how the Bulls are a team I like to target as far as rebound props because they have no presence on the offensive glass. But the Pelicans are a terrible defensive rebounding team. So I don't even know, even against the Bulls, if the Pelicans are even snatching up those rebounds at a high rate here. Modai?
Misi, right, Modai?
It's Misi. I didn't bet him. I do have a play on the Pelicans. So DeJounte Murray assists. The odds on this got nuked. Like this morning, I got over 7.5 at -120. That's now in the -140s. I definitely wouldn't play that. If you're playing it right now, I take the over 8.5, which you can get at +120 at FanDuel. And I did also put a half unit on him at 10+ as well. It's a phenomenal matchup. I mean, the Bulls have given up the most assists to point guards in the entire NBA.
What's the odds? I'm sorry. What's the odds on 10+?
+210 at 365.
Cool.
Everything with the Pelicans is kind of weird because everything's a small sample size. But like, even if you look at like a lot of specific things that are true in this matchup, they work out for DeJounte Murray. He's played 7 games against teams that are bottom 10 in terms of assists allowed. He's had 10 or more assists in 5 of those 7 games. If you look at games specifically with CJ McCollum and Trey Murphy, he's played, and also bottom 10 in assists allowed. That's 4 out of 4 games, 10 assists in all 4 of those games, 10, 15, 12, and 12. He's only played twice this year with Zion, and he's gone under in both those games. But you have to look at the matchup. The first game was against the Timberwolves. He had 6 assists, but he had 17 potential assists. Timberwolves are top 5 in terms of assists allowed. Next matchup, he had 8 assists against the Celtics, so he still had a good game overall. He didn't hit the 9 or the 10, obviously, but he came close. Had 14 potential assists, which is pretty good. And the Celtics allow the 4th fewest assists per game, and they're pretty good against guarding point guards. The total opposite against the Bulls. He played the Bulls earlier this year. Granted, earlier meaning like the earliest it could possibly be the first game of the year, but he had 10 assists and he had 18 potential assists in that game. It's just a phenomenal matchup against the Bulls. We've targeted them with point guard assist props all year. I'm going to continue doing it tonight.
Someone's J Main says the Bulls are 3-7-1 against the spread on Tuesdays this year. They don't like Tuesdays. Someone's got a case of the Tuesdays. All right, let's move on to the next one. We got Denver, Dallas. Someone really likes Dallas. Who the hell was it that really? I think it was Selman. I think it was Selman from the Discord that really likes Dallas in this one. I don't know. I'm a little taken back. 1 second. I'm a little hesitant to pull the trigger on a Mavericks bet right now because the other day, I believe it was Sunday, I placed 2 bets on the NBA, and one was the Knicks -4, which cashed easily in the Bucks game. We talked about that. The other one was Mavericks +6.5, and I wasn't watching it because there was football on. They were up like 11 or 12 points in the fourth quarter and ended up losing by double digits and not covering. So I still have a sour taste in my mouth when it comes to Dallas. I really don't have anything to add here about this game. Do you guys? Anything you guys like? Kyrie Irving is questionable. Looks like the Nuggets should have their full squad out there for this one. I don't know if Kyrie Irving plays. I'm gonna pull it. I'm gonna pull it up on my spreadsheet and look at some stuff. What do you guys think?
Well, I think Kyrie's gonna play. You can probably wait till injury news, but I took Jokic. The official bet is Jokic triple-double, which is +140 at Bet365. Basically, what we're betting here is that he's going to get to 10 assists because his rebound prop is 13.5 with the overpriced juiced towards the over. And not once this year has he not scored 10 points. So basically, if he doesn't get hurt, he's scoring 10 points. So that's what the majority of what I'm going to talk about is the assists. It's a great matchup for him against the Mavericks. He's played the Mavericks 3 times this year. In those 3 games, 15 assists on 18 potential, 10 but on 23 potential assists. And then last game, the most recent one, he only had 9 assists, so he went under. He had 22 potential assists in that game. So in the 3 games against the Mavericks this year, it's 18, 23, and 22 potential assists. The Mavericks are a matchup for center assist props. They're really aggressive getting the ball out of the Roman's hands. And even though they give up a lot of points to post up, they still give up a lot of assists to centers, like the 4th most according to a website called #NBA. 6th most according to Fantasy Pros, and the 5th most over the last 30 days. And the potential assists against him are crazy. I mean, again, 18, 23, 22. If you just look at games in which he's had, let's just call it 17 potential assists, which would be lower than what he's had every game this year. He's had 10 or more assists in 14 of 15 games. The only game he didn't this entire year was last game against the Mavericks, again, when he had 22 potential assists. It's the only game this year he's had also the only game in which he's had 20 potential assists and not hit 10. So there's just a lot of reasons why I like this play, and I just think the odds on him to get a triple-double are insane at +140. When you consider the fact that if you bet on him to get 10 assists, the best price you're getting is -110.
Makes sense. You said +130, right?
140.
140, okay. I gypped you out of 10 cents there. All right. What I'm looking at here is Denver defensively, they struggle a bit against isolation scorers if Kyrie Irving is playing. Obviously, he's the definition of an isolation scorer. Dallas, 4th in the NBA in defensive efficiency against the fast break in transition. Obviously, Denver this year, out of nowhere, loves to push the pace, almost the opposite of what we were seeing from the Nuggets last year. There are a couple things I like here for the Mavs, catching points at home. But again, I just bet on this team on Sunday, and they just completely folded like origami in the fourth quarter there on me. Chris, you have anything on this one?
Nah, the reason why I don't, Cal, because I was actually on the opposite. I bet Denver -3.5 and thought it was the worst bet of my life. When the first quarter ended and they were down by 18 points, I think it was, or something like that. So I kind of, like, if I wanted Dallas in this spot, I think I would have wanted to get the 5 so I could have 2 full possessions. But I mean, the Nuggets on the road as a favorite has just been something that's been like really, really unprofitable this season. They are 4-8 against the spread on the road so far this season, winning by an average of 3 points. They have covered 3 straight against the Jazz, the Spurs, and the Mavs. I'm not sure what to do with this one, Kyle. They also play tomorrow. They play Houston tomorrow. I think typically that's a spot that I want to fade them in. So I think they can get the job done here. I don't know if they cover it, but I think they can get the job done. Dallas has not been great. It's also a 5th game in 8 nights for them. They're only 3-7 straight up and 2-8 against the spread in their last 10 games. They also got the Pelicans tomorrow. So I don't know. Because I won Sunday, I'm like, I just kind of want to stay off of this one. Don't really like laying too many points with the Mavs on the road. So I guess if I, proverbial gun to my head, I'd be taking the points with the Mavs here, Kyle.
I'll put a Dallas graphic up for me because if I was to bet it would be that. In fact, I'll put a Dallas money line graphic. If I place a bet on this game, which is highly unlikely, it'll probably be this, the +135 or whatever the best number I can get. But yeah, probably just doing some gambling there. I don't really.
Same.
I'm finally in a position where I can really start the NBA handicapping videos are finally coming back and finally getting stuff together. Nets, Blazers. Like, how are the Nets catching 5.5 from the Blazers? But if you've followed the Nets recently, it's like, you know what? That number might not be big enough. God, that's bad. It's so bad.
Both these teams are sorry.
All right, Brooklyn, Portland. I didn't look at this game, not for a single second. You guys have anything?
I actually do. I have a play that I actually do like. These are where the player prop plays are the best. 2 bad teams, some injury news. This is really where I shine. I took Denny Avdija, so I took him over 15.5 points at -120. I took that this morning when they didn't have a lot of outlines. As of right now, you can get over 17.5 at +110. And those of you that know me know I'd much rather have that. Only one time this year has he landed on. It's
you say +110?
Yeah, it's 16.5 +110.
16.5 +110. Got it.
Only one time this year has he landed on exactly 16 points. So if that happens, so be it. I'd much rather get 30 cents a juice. Anyways, so no Jeremy Grant in the lineup. He averages 17 points per game without Jeremy Grant in the lineup over a 9-game sample size. The important thing here is that he's taken at least 12 shots in all 9 games except for 1, and he's played 30 or more minutes in all those games except for 2. In the 2 games where he didn't, one of them he played 29, so he's right there. And he shot 1 of 5 from deep and 6 of 13 from the field. And the other one, he still put up 15 shots, scored 26 points. So the minutes are generally there. The shot attempts are generally there. And the matchup is phenomenal. The top 3 play types for Denny Avdija in terms of where he scores his points. Spot up, number 1. Transition is number 2. And then free throws. The Nets, 4th worst defense guarding spot up shooters, 5th worst in transition, 4th worst via free throws. That makes up obviously way over half of his points. So it's just a really good matchup for him. He's been awesome recently without Jeremy Grant. And I think that continues tonight.
Yeah, looking at the injury report for this one, it's an experience. D'Angelo Russell questionable, Claxton questionable for the Nets. You also got Ben Simmons questionable. You got Cam Johnson questionable. You got Avdija questionable. You got Delano Banton. Remember Banton went, what was he go, like 0 of 17 from the floor last year? I'll never forget that.
Delano?
Forget. Yeah. Also, Robert Williams, right? He's listed as questionable as well.
Rob Will.
Yep.
Yeah, this game is an experience. Chris,
It
I'm
is.
assuming you passed.
No, I didn't actually bet it, Kyle.
have a
Not
play in this
side,
game?
total. I do. I really
I expect
do.
it from a degenerate like Modai, but not an upstanding person like yourself.
I typically don't, but I was looking at this last night, Kyle, when the lines first came out, and I saw the total. It was like 215.5 or something like that, and then it started to go down to like 213.5, and I was like, man, that's a low total. I don't trust either one of these teams like really defensively. And then the injury report started to pop up, and I was like, hold on. If I can get potentially Ben Simmons with D'Lo and Cam Johnson, I gotta take over. I gotta take over. So that's the play. It is not a lot of analysis. I mean, I can give you the on-off, court stuff. With Cam Johnson on the floor, they are averaging about 231 points per game in those games that he's played in. D'Angelo Russell, of course, super short sample size because he hasn't been with the team that much. But with him on the floor, they are averaging 234 points per game in those games. So I kind of think we get a little bit of a shootout here. Brooklyn, I think both of these teams end up playing a little bit faster than they typically do. And I just feel like it's a total that we could go up and over. So I feel like I got 217.5, but I did bet it though. It's not the biggest bet, of course. I'm not super degenerate, but I did bet over 217.5, thinking that we see a little bit more pace. Cam Johnson being back as a 3-point shooter. D'Lo is an absolute plus offensive player, but a horrible defensive player. So I think we see points in this game. Anthony Simon, Shaden Sharp, let it go. Denny Avdia, all the guys. Let's just let it go. Let's get to 220 tonight.
You guys both just gave out bets on this game.
Sorry, Kyle,
I didn't handicap. I looked at the total. I was like, that's too low. That's too low. Don't you agree, Kyle? It's too low, right?
I mean, the Nets on the season are 29th in pace, but in the last 5 games, they're 13th in pace. So that shit you said about Cam Johnson, maybe the Nets are a different brand of basketball team. I'm not betting it.
D'Lo too. And just so people can know, I'm not betting this, but Brooklyn first quarter is 9-1 against the spread in their last 10 games. They suck, but it's typically in the second half of the game. So potentially looking towards them. I put this in the Discord earlier. The Trailblazers have been favorites, I want to say 8 times over the last 2 years. They're 1-7 against the spread. They're 2-6 straight up. So don't lay points for Portland either.
Someone said I didn't expect the guy in the Armani suit to be betting the Nets Blazers game. All right, let's bring Toast on.
I'm trying to find money.
Wait,
I'm trying to find money wherever I can, man. He is.
All right, yeah, let's bring Toast on to talk. So I do have a college basketball bet open. We'll get into
Very
that.
Nice.
Well, real quick, you guys want to talk about where they can find your stuff?
Yeah, if you found me compelling, you can find me on Twitter and YouTube at Jedi Modai. Yeah, that's basically it. Found me compelling, check me out there.
Only if you found it compelling.
Correct.
Yeah, and if you found me compelling, wake up early and come join the morning show at 7:30 a.m. We are getting to some bets over there. I do a live show over on YouTube at Crispy Cap at 2 P's 2 N's. Appreciate you having me on, Kyle. Best of luck tonight, fellas.
All right, cool. Talk to you guys later. All right.
Peace.
Let's talk some college hoops. I'm going to try to throw Toast some curveballs here. I got games in the graphics that I didn't even tell them we were doing. Just throwing up. Yeah, just throwing. I was just scrolling through the slate, and I was like, why aren't we talking about this game through the graphics here? So we'll see if you have anything to say on them.
I got plenty to say on everything. I always do.
All right, next, first up is Mississippi State at Auburn, and this is what the fuck game did I bet again? Oh no, this isn't it. It's an SEC game. It's not this one though.
Okay.
This is the one you were talking. All right, I know what Toast's thoughts are on this one. He was talking about taking Mississippi State plus the points because Broome is out for Auburn, who's not only their best player but their best rebounder. So Mississippi State should be able to get active on the offensive glass and actually win the rebounding battle on the road in the jungle.
Yeah, that's a very big part of it. There's no question about that. I also think that Mississippi State, Mississippi State, excuse me, is a little bit of an undervalued team right now. Again, they haven't played a crazy, amazing, good schedule that Auburn has. Auburn's played the 3rd best schedule in the country. I mean, this isn't me trying to pick holes at anything that Auburn has done. But I will say this, that if you take a look at what Auburn has played since the beginning of December, they've played Duke and Purdue. And besides that, they play a lot of really bad or mediocre teams, especially their last 3 games against Missouri, Texas, and South Carolina. I know that Texas has treated us really well the last couple of games because they've covered, but they're not winning those games. And now, again, I think that Mississippi State, especially with Broome being out, should be able to match up a lot better with this Auburn team. I will say that Auburn probably gets a little bit faster, so maybe maybe their offense goes a little bit of a faster pace, but at the same time, Mississippi State plays at a decent pace too. So the only thing that really bothers me is that, again, this is in the jungle in Mississippi. This is going to be a big step up in class for Mississippi State. But again, they just played a team like Kentucky. It was at home, but they played that team close. They've also played multiple games on the road, including games at like SMU, Vanderbilt, Memphis. So again, it's not like they're one of those teams that not only hasn't played on the road, but they've played well on the road against somewhat decent teams. All those teams that I mentioned are in the top 100 at KenPom. So I got 8.5 with Mississippi State. I will admit this is a little bit of a gamble here. But at the same time, Mississippi State's treated me very, very well this season. And I think this is like obviously this is one of the bigger games of their season. So I think we're going to get a focus effort here. Again, we just saw Auburn go into South Carolina, a team that's way, way worse than Mississippi State, and only won that game by 3. Now, again, Broom went out. That game was on the road after the Texas game, so the spot wasn't great. But again, this is a really big step up in class, and you've only had 3 days to prep without Jabari Broom in their lineup. So again, I played Mississippi State +8. I'm not in love with it, but I did bet it.
Also, I'm looking at CBB analytics here. A couple things. Auburn, obviously, they have pretty much elite numbers across the board, but they're pretty middle of the pack when it comes to allowing points in the fast break. 13.4% of their opponents' points come in the fast break. Happens to be a strength for Mississippi State. They're in the 97th percentile. 19.4% of Mississippi State's points come in the fast break.
Yeah, and I do think that Auburn is going to struggle with that at times. We'll see. Again, I don't want to. I'm trying not to come in too hard on Mississippi State, because Auburn at the jungle it's not an easy place to play. Like, that's not. Yeah, it's going to be a rough one.
Our poll likes Mississippi State 55%, 39%.
That's what kind of scares me a little bit.
Ole Miss, Alabama. This number is now 12. I think this was 10 when we were doing it last night.
Yeah, everybody seems to love Alabama here. I didn't play this game, but at the same time, I think that I really think that Mississippi can stay in this game. I get that Alabama is really good, and there's a lot of positive regression coming for or should be some positive regression coming from Alabama. But at the same time, I honestly think this game is as simple as this. If Alabama shoots well from 3, if you think they can shoot the 3, they're going to be all right, because we've seen this Ole Miss team play teams that are very similar to Alabama, like a Louisville, and obviously Mississippi went in there and absolutely throttled that Louisville team. At the same time, that Louisville team that night shot 5 of 30 from 3-point range. So essentially, I feel like that's what's going to have to happen here tonight. Alabama's going to have to be essentially ice cold from deep, because I guess that's going to be the big question, because I do think that Mississippi is going to be able to handle them inside. I think that Chris Beard and the no middle defense, I think they're going to have a plan of attack for that. It's just a matter of Alabama hitting shots. So again, I lean Mississippi just because I think that they can match up defensively. But again, I don't really want to bet against Alabama at home, because if they start hitting threes, it's going to be a long night for Ole Miss.
All right, let's move on to the next one. By the way, Trevor Vandenbosch and Wags are in the comments. Vandenbosch says, this is Mississippi State's best chance to take down Auburn. Broom is out is huge. Going to be a tight game, and Mississippi State defensive rebounding is fantastic. Let's move on to the next one. Texas A&M, Kentucky, and this is the game I bet. And I got.
Yeah, I remember this. I remember that. Yeah.
I got negative CLV on this.
Did you really? I didn't even look.
I thought I got 158. Did I? Maybe I got one too. Maybe I'm remembering wrong.
Regardless, if it goes over, it's going to be over 160 points regardless. So I don't really think the 1 or 2 points is going to matter if it's good or bad, personally.
All right, so I'll put my graphic up over. But if you guys watch the midnight stream, you guys know that I don't know. I bet the over because Wags was saying it. The Rodfather was in the comments saying it. There was a few people in the comments preaching the over. So I'm tailing. But I did bet this. I am on the over in this game. Let me get the graphic. Where is my graphic? There we go. Over.
I can see that. I don't hate that at all. I just played Kentucky here, guys. Nothing. This isn't really anything special. I'm just going to continue to bet Kentucky when they're at home, and I especially like this spot today after their last couple of road games where they played Georgia and Mississippi State, both teams that are very similar to the DNA of Texas A&M. I like the fact that they've seen those physical type of teams the last couple of nights because I don't feel like it's going to be such of a down spot here tonight. I don't think they're going to be able to get punched in the face like they have kind of the last couple of nights. And like I said, and Kentucky's also seen a lot of teams that know how to rebound, like not as quite as well as A&M, but pretty damn close. And we also know that like A&M likes to play defense at a high level, but Kentucky's played 5 other teams that ranked in the top 30 as far as defensive efficiency. So it's not like they're going to be seeing something that they haven't seen. I just feel like Kentucky's offense is just so much better than the Texas A&M offense compared to what the Texas A&M offense can do to the Kentucky defense. So as long as Kentucky just isn't completely ice cold here tonight, I think they should win this game by double digits. Again, I really like this Texas A&M team. I'm not trying to gloss over them like they're nothing, but at the same time, I really don't trust them away from home. They've played only a couple games away from home, one of them being Oklahoma, and that game that Oklahoma completely botched. The other game was against UCF, which is their first game of the year, and they lost that game by 3. So really, in my eyes, again, they won that Oklahoma game, sure, but they probably should have lost that game if Oklahoma was just somewhat competent near the end of that game at all. So I just can't trust Texas A&M on the road right now. 6 is a lot for a really good Texas A&M team. But again, I think that Kentucky wins this game by double digits. The only way that for me that Kentucky doesn't win this game by double digits is if they're ice cold shooting, because another thing that Texas A&M really has over a lot of teams is their experience. They don't have that with Kentucky. Kentucky's one of the biggest and most experienced teams in the country. And last but not least, my favorite thing, Texas A&M, one of the worst free throw shooting teams in the country. Kentucky, one of the better free throw shooting teams in the country.
You have such a hard on for free throws.
I do, especially in college sports. If you watch one college game, you'll understand.
Oh, Mr. Mo Lewis is in the comments and asked you about SLUVCU. But first, I want to read a couple comments out. Van de Bosch is with you on Kentucky. Wags is on the over with me. He was talking about last night. Last night, Wags said Kentucky games have gone over at home at a high rate, and now we got Texas A&M's away games 13-6 to the over. So just everything pointing towards an over here. Don't like how the total's been brought down a couple points since then, but I'm on the over. Do you have any quick thoughts on that game that someone mentioned?
I know 2 very people that I respect a lot on opposite sides of that game. I would lean St. Louis with the points just because they seem like they're starting to play a lot better. Not to mention their last couple of games, St. Joseph's and somebody else they just beat. Somebody decent they just beat is Bonnie's. They just beat the Bonnies. So again, VCU's kind of played some lackluster teams. They lost to that St. Bonnie's team. So again, I lean St. Louis in the points just because I do think that they're starting to play better basketball, but I didn't bet it.
Forecast is on Kentucky too. Forecast is the kid in California, the statistics kid that emailed me. Seems like a cool kid.
Oh yeah.
All right, next up, Illinois, Indiana. I know what you're on here because we talked about it last night. You got a 4.5. I saw that you posted. You got a 4.5 though.
Yeah, I did. This is just kind of gross. And there's a lot of things that can go either way here. This is me kind of playing the line a little bit. I do feel like a lot of people are going to want to take Illinois regardless if I'm just going to call him KJ because I don't know how to pronounce his name is out or not. So the issue with him is that he has this forearm issue. And depending on what you read, he's had a good week in practice, they say, but at the same time, there's reports out that his hands and his knuckles are swollen. So I don't really know what to put into that. I do think that if he plays tonight, he's probably not going to be 100%. But regardless, I do think that I do trust Indiana at home. That's one of the places that I do trust they're at home. They haven't really been the same on the road, and obviously you can say that a lot about teams in college basketball. But at the same time, I think this is going to be a little bit of a bigger test for Illinois. I do think they should be able to score inside. Indiana hasn't been great inside, but at the same time, Indiana has also been really, really good at defending the three-point shot, and they don't really make them a lot either, as far as Indiana doesn't make a lot of threes. But I do think that I don't know if I trust this Illinois team to stay as hot as they have been. I just think it's real. I think the USC loss was very similar to like what the USC loss is very similar to Indiana to me as far as how similar these two teams play. Indiana is one of those teams that definitely likes to play with a little bit of place, but they play through they're inside their game. They use their big men. They're one of the biggest teams in the country, and they play through their defense. So I just think that Illinois is going to probably be able to score inside, but I think that Indiana can score inside. I think that this line's under 5 for a reason. I don't think that KJ's playing, but it's really, really gross because I don't want to come on here and start poking holes in Illinois because I really think they're one of the best teams in the country, not named Auburn and Duke. But at the same time, I just really don't like this spot for them. And Indiana's been playing so much better at home, and they just got absolutely blown out by Iowa on the road, and now they're back home. I just feel like this is a much better spot with the team in Indiana that can match up with Illinois in size. So again, it's really gross. It's at 3.5 now. This is me kind of playing the line. I just feel like there's a reason that this line is within one possession. I think that the books think that this game is going to be a close game. So.
Forecast Scott says he's from Canada. Dude, your email said, oh, wait, maybe it didn't. My bad. It's been a long week. I could have sworn.
Yeah.
So I'm not tailing you on that, by the way.
No,
I didn't really like what you said about it last night either. It didn't sound very certain.
It's gross. It's gross. It's absolutely gross. So
now this is a curveball because Wesker's asked for this game. Louisville, Syracuse.
Oh, we already talked about that last night. We didn't. Yes, we did, dude. Trust me, I mentioned him twice in the comments. I played Syracuse last night.
I was probably just not paying attention to you.
That's cool. The numbers kind of left. I got Syracuse at 7.5, thinking, and I think it's at 8 now. Again, I don't have a ton. I'm not going to be able to. I can't sit up here and tell you how good of a Syracuse team this is and how good they match up with Louisville and yada yada yada. I just don't think that Louisville is as good as they've shown. I think that they've played really well over the last month, especially after that loss against Kentucky, rattling off wins against Florida State and Clemson and Pitt and North Carolina. But now here they are. I think the Pitt game was a very big game for them, especially coming back coming back and winning that game late in that game. But again, now you have to stay on the road for your second game in a row and face the Syracuse team up in Syracuse. That's never the easiest place to play. Again, this is me just kind of calling bullshit on what Louisville's done, to be dead honest with you guys. I don't really trust this team. I think that Syracuse can match up with them defensively, and I think that if Louisville's not hitting their 3 balls, I think that's going to be an issue. Syracuse has a little bit of issues defending on the inside, but at the same time, they match up size-wise. I just don't think that it's going to be an easy night for Louisville. I honestly think that Louisville is going to win this game by 20, or they might lose outright. I think that's how I see this game. So, again, this is me more just calling bullshit on what Louisville's done over the last 2 weeks and a half, 2 weeks. I know Shot Quality has them as the best team in the country. I just find that full of shit. There's just no way in hell this team is that good. So we're gonna find out tonight. If they come out here and blow this Syracuse team out, they can have my $250. But I don't think that happens. I think we see a close game here.
Comments are really split on this one. Tom Leach is on Syracuse +8. D-Jack, Syracuse +8. Hey, I'm Martzy. Q's +8.5. The Juice is in here, said take the orange. But Wags is on Louisville. And I think Vandenbosch said he's leaning Louisville as well.
Yeah, they've been really hot. This isn't me trying to make a case that Louisville is bad. I just personally don't think that they're as good as what they've shown since that loss against Kentucky. So, again, not that Syracuse is some team like Kentucky or Pittsburgh, but at the same time, I do think these kids are college kids. And after a huge game like that in Pittsburgh, they get that, a really big victory against a top 25 team on the road, or pretty damn close to a top 25 team on the road. And now having to do it again, I just feel like it's more of a sleepy spot for Louisville than anything. So we'll see. But like I said, I might look like a real dummy. But like I said, I really feel like Louisville could win this game by 20, or they might lose outright. Those are the two situations for me.
And if Louisville smashes them, so be it. They can have my unit.
That's right.
Ohio State, Wisconsin. I threw this one in.
Yeah, hell yeah.
You good?
I'm on Wisconsin. I'm on Wisconsin. Yeah, I'm on Wisconsin. Scoop's on Wisconsin as well. Again, this is kind of more simple for me, but I'm not trying to. Why not just keep on playing Wisconsin at home until they give us a reason not to? I mean, the only time that they've looked somewhat even kind of human at home was against that Michigan. Was the Michigan game where they got out to an early lead and then they kind of let things falter in the second half. But I mean, they absolutely drilled Iowa at home. They absolutely drilled Minnesota at home. They absolutely drilled Arizona at home. I mean, scoring 100 points in 2 of those 3 games, and now they face an Ohio State team that just can't seem to get out of their way. Anytime that they've stepped up in competition, they've been absolutely throttled, except for that random game against Kentucky where they beat Kentucky by 20 on a neutral. But any other times, Pittsburgh, Maryland, Texas A&M, Michigan State, Oregon, I mean, they're losing all those games. The teams that Ohio State is beating is teams like Minnesota, which I think we've talked about many times on this show. The only reason they beat Minnesota, it took them 2 overtimes in Minnesota to completely piss down their leg. They're also beating teams like Valparaiso, Indiana State, Rutgers, who doesn't know how to win a basketball game, Green Bay, Campbell, Evansville. So to go on the road and face a Wisconsin team's just been absolutely essentially scoring 85 plus points at home. It was just pretty simple for me. I just don't think that Ohio State's going to be they need the 3-ball to win this game. I don't think they're going to be able to do that. Wisconsin is one of the bigger teams in the country, which really helps. And obviously you guys already know this as much as first thing before I mention my favorite thing, the turnovers. Neither one of these teams really turn the ball over. So I really think that gives Wisconsin a lot of extra shots here tonight. I will give you that Wisconsin's defense doesn't force a lot of turnovers, but that doesn't really matter to me. Ohio State doesn't rebound too much. So I just think that there's a lot of washes in here. But the one thing that's not a wash, Wisconsin, the #1 free throw shooting team in the country, Ohio State, like 175-ish. So if this game is even within a possession or two late, I'll take my chances as the home team and the best free throw shooting team in the country to cover the number.
All right, so comments, we got a bunch of stuff. So Wags likes the over, and he even said it 4 times in a comment. Over, love the over. So Wags really likes the over here. Vandenbosch seems to be on your side with Wisconsin. Do not fade Bucky, but he's not talking about Buckeyes. He's talking about do not fade Bucky. Who's Bucky, Toast?
I don't know.
He's like, I thought maybe he was talking about Buckeyes, but then he said Wisconsin defense will lock down. So I don't know. But yeah,
guy on the name named Bucky. I can't think.
I don't know. TWD's crazy asses on Ohio State. And someone else said Ohio State. Saturated said Ohio State. The Juice is on Wisconsin with you. Community's kind of split on that one. Bucky is the Badgers mascot.
I'm like, what?
I'm surprised that you know weird shit like that.
I guess I knew. Yeah, I don't know if I've ever heard him being called Bucky before. I can see the goddamn Badger.
Oh, I know that stupid ass Badger too.
Yeah, I didn't know his name was Bucky.
I didn't know he had. Does he wear a name tag? Who the fuck calls him that?
Which is, to be fair though, like I call the Cougars mascot Butch. His name is Butch. I bet nobody else knows.
And you're a freak for that.
So
don't fade Bucky. Yeah. Trevor's like, don't fade Bucky.
I'll never forget it now. I can tell you that. I'll never forget that. I don't mind the over either. I do think that Ohio State should be able to score a little bit here, but I just think that the Wisconsin offense is just going to be a little bit too much.
Plus, you can't fade Bucky.
Well, it also is funny because you could have said Bucky with Ohio State, and so.
Well, that's what I thought he was saying.
I know.
In his comment, it was like the Wisconsin defense will lock down. So I was, had I known that, wrote it and had a first name. All right, we're on to Kansas State, Texas Tech. This is another one that I just threw in there on you. Do you have any thoughts on this?
Kansas State. I put it on the website as well.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I'm picking the right ones then.
Yeah. Here, let me see if I can find. Oh, yeah, I didn't do it right up for that one. I just think it's a little bit of a sell high spot here for me. Again, both first and foremost, the coaches, McCaslin versus Tang. Both these guys come from the Scott Drew coaching tree. I feel like this is just made to be like a grind out type of a game. I will admit that Texas Tech has been by far the better team. There's no question about that. But at the same time, I don't really trust them. I like them a lot more at home. We just saw them. I mean, I had a pretty decent sized bet on Texas Tech their last time out on the money line that we all saw how they lost that game. And I just think that you're asking a lot out of these kids to lose a game like that after a couple solid wins against a decent a decent Utah team and a solid BYU team, to lose that game to Iowa State and then fly up to Kansas State, where again, Kansas State hasn't been good, especially since the beginning of the year. But I will say it's not easy to play up there in the Octagon of Doom. And keep in mind that Kansas State, although hasn't played well, or especially as far as wins go, I mean, the losses that they've had, Houston, TCU, St. John's, Drake, Wichita State, I mean, it's not like they're losing to these terrible, terrible teams. Both of these teams are kind of really slow. Texas Tech is a little bit slower, but when Kansas State has played slower teams, they've slowed down a lot too. I just feel like Kansas State is really – I don't really trust Texas Tech outside of home, like I said, and Texas Tech really relies on the three ball. Kansas State hasn't done a great good job of defending it, but they're also a lot bigger team than Texas Tech. And for Texas Tech to go on the road and shoot the ball at 40%, I'll take my chances here. Like I said, I just feel like the coaching is more of a thing for me. You got two guys coming from, like I said, Scott Drew's coaching tree. I think this game is just going to be an all-out battle. Does it bother me that Kansas State can't shoot free throws? Absolutely. But at the same time, I don't really trust this Texas Tech team on the road. I think that this is going to be, like I said, a grind-out type of game that probably first 1 to 70 type of wins. I mean, to be dead honest with you guys, I really think that the points are the right play here.
Well, okay, based on what you said and based on what Van de Bosch said in here, who, by the way, is on the other side. He's on Texas Tech. Says Kansas State's terrible. Texas Tech off of losses.
They are terrible. I can't argue with that. They are terrible.
And he said something about, I guess this is in a different comment. He said something about isolation. I don't know where. I just read it. Kansas State plays a ton of iso ball. Tough to win playing iso ball versus an elite defensive team. So based on that, then based on what you said about Texas Tech being relying on the three ball, I think I have to side with TWD and Helms in the comments saying the under. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I don't mind that either. I the more that I look at it, I probably should have bet that. But again, in my head when I was doing it with the coaching battle in a game that I thought that would probably go under, I wanted to take the multiple
I'm going to bet
possessions.
this. I'm going to bet this under.
Yeah. So, like I said, I honestly, the total's 144. I truly believe when I said the first 1 to 70 probably wins. So
it's 144. My graphic.
Yeah.
I must have typed that wrong. So my graphic has it right, but the background doesn't. All right, so yeah, I just added that to the list of bets. All right, and then we have one last game, and we talked about this one last night. So I can't remember if you said you were betting it. You said you were thinking about betting Arizona. I don't know if you actually did.
I didn't. I can see this game like going so many different ways that it's just really hard for me to make like a confident bet in this game. I think that Baylor is probably going to really, really struggle with the Arizona pace. And that's what kind of bothers me. If you take a look at what Baylor has done against teams with similar pace, they haven't really played well. A la the Iowa State game, they lost that game by almost 20 points. The Utah game, they won. That's fine. But the St. John's is another team that they played. They won that game, but they should have lost that St. John's game. I mean, St. John's absolutely shit down their pants at the end of the game. Another one is Gonzaga in the first game of the season. They got absolutely throttled by Gonzaga. So Baylor's shown a propensity to really struggle against teams in pace. That's exactly what Arizona's done. And I've also came on this show multiple times, and I feel like Arizona's turned the corner in this season. I think that loss to UCLA, it changed something in that team. The rotations changed a little bit, and they're finally starting to get Caleb Love and not just jacking up a ton of shots. He actually looks somewhat decent. I mean, the games in early December, he was scoring 25 points a game. He's down to like 15 points a game. I think that's a good thing for Arizona. I think that they continue to get other guys involved. KJ Lewis, Jaden Bradley, guys like that. Townsend is actually starting to play really well for them. Again, it's just really hard because then if you take a look at Baylor's played one of the strongest schedules in the country, but at the same time, they're coming off an overtime game against Arizona State, and now they got to come play Arizona. It's just really hard for me to pick a side in this one. So I lean Arizona just because of how well they've played as far as in transition. And not to mention the fact that Baylor only plays like 6 guys because Love and Celestin or whatever both have ankle injuries. So if they get in any type of foul trouble, it's going to be a really, really, really tough matchup for them in the second half. So I lean Arizona, but my gut tells me that Baylor shows up here tonight. So I'm not going to bet this game, but if you put a gun to my head, it'd be Arizona -5.5. But it's just because of those, like I said, those pace numbers for Baylor. Baylor likes to play this game really, really slow. And I don't know if they're going to be able to do that against Arizona at home.
Well, TWD likes Arizona -3.
Isn't it 5.5?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like, wait, what? It's 3 now?
I like Arizona -3.
He's got a sweet teaser in college hoops.
Oh, God,
don't want to miss that.
Someone accused Trevor of watching other shows to get information. Yeah, welcome to the world.
Me and Trevor watch the same shows.
Well,
We're in the
so do
comments
I.
together. I watch every show. So
yeah, I mean that's why I have
me.
sports betting shows out. That's how it works. Not just in sports betting, in any industry. You switch over to the finance industry, you're tapped into what other groups are doing. Information is king, man.
DM'd Vanden Bosch because I see him in comments in other shows, and I know that he's actually doing the work to know what he's talking about. So
if you're not watching other creators, other analysts in your field, then you're just selling yourself short. Of course, information is power.
I was going to say, to assume that you know everything is just absolutely ridiculous. Yeah.
So our poll's pretty split on that one, by the way. 46%, 45%, 41% in favor of Arizona. So we're pretty split down the middle. That's it. That's our last one. We try to do a community parlay real quick. Why is this? Let me reload this all.
For the community. Making a parlay. Yeah.
All right, let's do a community parlay real quick and call it.
I'm almost done with my work, yeah. A couple other bets I have open tonight. What else do I have that we didn't talk about? Georgia Tech +6. Let's see what that is at now. Yeah, so 5.5. I'm good with that. I played USC on the money line. Scoop played a -2. I do think it's a really good spot for USC. USC is actually playing really good basketball lately, and Iowa away from home, and Iowa's defense the last month has just been absolutely atrocious. So going all the way to the West Coast, I think that's a really good spot for USC.
All right. Cast your votes.
What's the other one I had?
Thunder money line is the first one. Yeah, I don't know why the community parlay song is just like buggy.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, another one I played San Jose State first half. Faded New Mexico their last time out against San Diego State. That didn't go very well at all. But at the same time, I don't really trust what New Mexico has been doing. If you take a look at their last 3 games, they played Nevada at home. They won that game in overtime on a lucky tip-in / shot in the middle of the paint. Then they go on the road to Wyoming. They get shit on in the first half. They make a crazy big comeback, starting the second half on a 20-9 run or something like that. They end up coming to win that game, and then they come in and they blow out San Diego State. I just really hate the spot for them going on the road against San Jose State, who has actually played a pretty decent schedule going back to the 28th. Boise State, Colorado State, UNLV, Utah State. Utah State, I mean, they only lost that game by 7, and Utah State's one of the better teams in the country that nobody talks about. So I think this is a really good spot for San Jose State at home. I don't want to deal with them in the second half because I do think New Mexico's that much better of a team. But I think to start this game out, I think that San Jose State's got a really nice chance.
The second leg of the community parlay is.
Come here.
Yeah, I mean, this dude Julio sucks. Let me just delete him. I mean, I don't like muting people, but if you just don't bring any value and are just like a constant ray of negativity, what's the point of who would want to gamble with somebody like that? So no hard feelings, Julio. Best of luck to you. So Mississippi State Auburn, what did they pick? I don't know. You're when I did the community parlay song, you came back choppy. Your feed, it's like a little bit choppy. I don't know why. But I mean, we're done in 2 seconds anyway.
I like
shit.
Yeah. Yes, I played forecast card. I did play Florida tonight as well. They are on my card. I agree with KL. I'm trying to find some comments.
Looks like they like Kentucky. Yeah, a lot of people in the comments like Kentucky, so it makes sense that Kentucky's on there. So we got the Thunder money line, the Bulls money line, Kentucky money line, and then what are the last few college basketball games? I think they liked Wisconsin there. They liked Texas Tech. I think you were kind of on an island with that Kansas State one, and then they liked Arizona.
Okay.
Yeah, they like. I'll put Baylor on there as well because a lot of people did vote for. You know what? I'm going to put Auburn on because a lot of people voted for Auburn. So this is the last leg right here.
Yes, you can. You can come set.
I said that.
What's up, bud? You like that Kansas State play? You like that Kansas State play, or you think he's reaching with that?
He said nope.
Yeah, it doesn't. From what I was reading in the comments, I don't think I like it either.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Yep, I might have lost us. Good money.
You lost some money.
Yep, we're gonna have no more money after tonight.
Yup.
Father, that's my money.
I know. We'll figure it out.
Thunder, Bulls, Kentucky was. Thunder, Bulls, Kentucky, Wisconsin. So we got Thunder, Kentucky, Wisconsin, Kentucky, Wisconsin.
It's so weird that my stuff's so dark though, because like
I think
nothing
it's
changed.
plus 283 is what I'm showing. So the community parlay today is that you guys voted on: Thunder money line, Bulls money line, Kentucky money line, Wisconsin money line plus 283. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll be back at midnight. Yeah.